Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm Neek Lynn, and this is the place where braiders turn to level up their skills while building their business. If you're already a braider, you know that boho knotless have been the go-to style of the summer, and so today I'm going to show you exactly how to do them from start to finish. As you can see, I've already parted her hair into 4 sections. This setup is going to serve as a great guide throughout the entire style. So if you struggle with parting, you're going to want to start this way. Because her hair is already parted down the middle, I'm going to use that middle part as a guide as I develop my rows starting in the nape of her neck. So you can see here that I'm only parting it half at a time. Once I'm satisfied with that half, then I'm going to go on the other side and make sure that the other half matches up, and that's going to create my first row. Now I typically prefer to clean up my part immediately. Some suggest to just go ahead and pre-part without using any gel, because then this way you're not wasting product. But because I don't want to have to go back and do it later, I've just decided to do it as I go. For every set of medium knotless that I do, I start this row off with 3 sections. For any new braider who wants to offer knotless braids to your list of services, the most important thing that you're going to need to know is how many rows each size that you're going to offer is going to include. Knowing this is not only going to help you establish a time expectation to provide to your clients for each size, it's also going to help you set up consistent pricing for each size. So if this is something that you struggle with, grab your copy of the Braider's Ultimate Pricing Guide. The link will be in the description. When offering knotless braids, consistency is key. So you don't want to do a set of medium that has maybe 4 or 5 rows on one client, and then you do another client and now you have 10 rows. You want to make sure that you have a system so that every client, no matter their head size or shape, is getting the same amount of braids per the sizes that you are providing. Okay, so the beauty of setting up your style this way is that it's going to help you set the foundation for bricklaying your parts. If you happen to be unfamiliar with what bricklaying is, it's simply when every braid is going to fill in the empty space of the row beneath it. So I'm going to part this row in half, but I'm using this center braid that's on that first row as a guide. And now I'm simply just going to go ahead and part this section right in half, and you can see that the part on that first row and this part right here is not on top of each other. It's offset because I want that bricklay to begin to form. Now on to the third row. This is the last row in the nape section, and I'm using basically the top of her ear as a guide to create this last and final row for this section. My client's hair is so long, so please just bear with me, because when you are dealing with long hair, it can be really hard to see where you are parting. But I want you to watch this really closely because I'm going to teach you a little trick. For this row, we want to have a box right in the middle and not a middle part. So in order to do that, I'm going to part off this row in the middle, but I'm going to take a little bit of hair from the left side of the part that I just created, and then I'm going to take a little bit of hair from the right side of the part that I just created. And now when I do it this way, my box is dead center in the middle of this row. And now that we have that middle section out of the way, all we have to do is part this section right in half. So I'm going to use the tail end of my comb, and I'm going to just create my section just by taking that comb and directing it down. Now I'm making sure again that my lines are not right above each other, because we want them to be offset so that our bricklay is going to continue to flow throughout the rest of the style. And if you're already finding this video to be helpful, I want you to go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Now let's go ahead and go over these rows one last time. So at the nape, we're going to have 3 sections. Then the second row is going to have 4 sections, and then this final row and this back area is going to have 5 sections. Now let's go ahead and move over to the side, because this is where we're going to start our rows that are going to be in the front. So remember, her hair was parted down the middle from the beginning of the style, and I'm still using that middle part to help me establish the rows. Anytime I'm doing medium, I'm going to part out 5 rows. Having this middle part as a guide, it helps me to not have to stretch that part all the way around the head. So I can use that middle part as a guide and start to part out my rows. One pro tip of parting is learning how to use reference points. So the reference point that I'm using for this section is my client's temple. That is the reference point that I'm using in order to create this first section of this side. If this parting method feels a bit intimidating, you can always grab a copy of the Beginner's Guide to Parting Box Braids. In this guide, I go over a simpler parting technique, and with about 500 copies sold, it's really been helping a lot of beginner braiders. And now that we have that first row out of the way, anytime you have an even number of rows left, one key trick is to just go ahead and part the entire section in half. Because it's an even number and there's just these 4 rows left, all we'll have to do is to part each of these sections into 2 sections. So now that we have this row parted out, remember it's about reference points. So use the middle of the braid beneath it to create your first section. And now you're just going to continue to use the middle of each braid in the section underneath to create your sections for this row. But I want you to pay close attention to when we get to this center part, because this row is going to have a braid that sits in the middle. So this section that you see, that's not going to be a braid, because when we get to the other side, what we'll do is we'll take a little piece of that section from the other side to create that middle braid. So if you need to see how that's done, just go back to the 3rd row in the back section and you'll see exactly how to do that. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish creating these boxes using the same methods that I have talked about throughout the entire video. One of the best things about pre-parting is that you're going to be able to see your style all the way through, but you could also make adjustments prior to committing, and let me tell you, it is truly going to make your style even that much more cleaner when it's all said and done. So you go ahead and enjoy watching the rest of this parting come together, and then I'll come back on when it's time to braid. If you are still rocking with me up until this point, you might as well go ahead and click that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications so that you don't miss out on any of these educational and informative uploads. Here on my channel, not only will I teach you how to level up your braiding skills, but I'll teach you how to level up your business skills, helping you to create strong, lasting, thriving braid businesses. So if you're looking to grow in both of those areas, go ahead and join me here on YouTube. We're 76,000 strong and counting, and I would love to add you to our family. Now that we're all finished with the parting on this side and the back is already braided, let's talk a little bit about braiding knotless braids. So you can see that I have started off my base. My hair is ready, prepared on a tray, and I'm just going to take the pieces that I have already laid out and I'm going to add them gradually to this braid. So if you have never done a knotless braid, I want you to go ahead and check out this video here. It's 5 ways how to do a knotless braid, where I go over in depth 5 different methods of how to do a knotless braid. The difference in this video is that I'm going to be adding curly pieces to these braids individually, and that's what's going to make our knotless boho. There are so many different types of hair that you can use for your boho braids, so many different types of curl patterns. You could use synthetic hair, you could use human hair. I mean, the list and the options just go on and on. But for today's video, I am going to be using synthetic hair from Freetress brand, and it's called Beach Curl. I'll put a little picture here on the side so that you could see exactly what hair I'm using. Okay, so now I'm going to show you exactly how to add the curly piece of hair. Now you're going to add this piece of hair just as you would if you were just adding braiding hair, by slipping it right underneath the braid between your thumb and pointer finger. Now the difference is that you're going to leave this piece of the curly hair up and out of the way. So I like to leave a clip somewhere just clipped in the hair so that I have something that I can put the curly hair onto. Now, once it's secured, I'm just going to go ahead and continue to braid. As I braid down, if you need to add any braiding hair, feel free to do that, because you still might need to add a small piece of braiding hair, and that's okay. So add your braiding hair with your preferred preference, okay, and then just continue to braid. And we want to make sure that we do quite a few braid movements, because we want that curly piece to be nicely secured in the braid, because that other leg that was inside of the braid is now going to have to come back out of the braid. But before you take it out, you want to make sure that you've braided down enough times. So as you can see, I'm just taking that piece out and I'm just going to join it with the original piece that I left out, and then continue to braid your braid all the way down, just as you would if there was no additional hair added. Now I want to show you the other side. The beauty of using that middle part to set up these knotless is that when I come to the other side, now all I have to do is make these rows match up to the rows that were already parted. I absolutely love doing it this way because Let's just be honest. When you're doing knotless braids, it's a tiring style. And so me doing it this way, it just takes the think work out of it that by the time I get over to the other side, it's pretty much cruise control at this point because everything is set up and all I have to do is now just make this side match the other side. So if you've never tried to do it this way, give it a try. Let me know what you think in the comments and let me know, how did it work out for you? I really just want to take a moment to thank those who have been truly rocking with me since the beginning of my YouTube journey. It has been a few years now, and guys, just like anything in life, it has its ups, it has its downs. You know, there's times where, you know, you are so consistent, and then there's other times where life just happens. And, you know, these past few years, especially this last year, has just been very, very busy, and we done so much, and we've bought a salon and all these things. So I'm gonna have to do a salon tour because I have to show you everything that we did in the process and just all of that. But for those of you who have been really rocking with me for all of this time, I thank you, and I really appreciate you being a part of the community that has been built here. All right, we are at the end of this style, and believe it or not, this style took me 9.5 hours to complete. My medium knotless typically take me somewhere between 6.5 to 7 hours, but with adding the additional pieces, with her natural hair being as long as it was, because her natural hair was very long, and also recording, those things all can add time to a style. So make sure that your client is aware that they're going to be spending some extra time with you if you are happening to be recording, you know, a full YouTube video like I've done here. So with that being said, I did not get the last clip of me dipping her hair in the water, but here's something that I often suggest. When you are going to dip this style, do not dip the curls, okay? Oftentimes, especially if you're using synthetic hair, the curls are going to drop if you dip them in hot water. So what I do is I clip all the curls up, and then I only dip the ends of the braids. I actually went over this in detail in a short, and I will leave the link to that short in the description section. So let's go ahead and get into this final look. Man, look at how beautiful this is. Y'all, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, just go ahead and click that subscribe button. I hope that something in this video was helpful to you. And as always, God bless, and I'll talk to you in the next one.